Hello, I am Jordan Mustang 87 and welcome back to this channel now for what should be the 22nd game that I officially start on this channel, and I've now decided that game is going to be this: Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed. And since I am playing the PAL version, it goes by a different name. So here in Europe, this game, according to its title, is known as Need for Speed Porsche 2000. And just going to skip the demo race because, well, if you do nothing with the main menu for long enough, then basically it takes you straight over to the demo race, since I'm not really doing anything. But yeah, anyways. So, in terms of release dates, well, it first came out in America on the PlayStation in February of 2000, and then we here in Europe would officially get the PlayStation version of this game by June of 2000. I've already set everything up in terms of my options. Language obviously is English, and going with widescreen format because obviously I have a widescreen TV. Don't really need to worry about split screen, and center screen is also nothing to worry about, so that's all good. This game is also available for PC and Game Boy Advance. Many people would argue the PC version is the best, and not just because it has the most things you can do, but because of many other things physics-wise. So I've already set up my volumes here, so turn the race music off because that might be copyrighted. I don't think the menu music is copyrighted, and I've also turned the speech up to maximum as well. So yeah, we have that. And speech, of course, is in English, and don't really need to worry about music mode all that much, so that's all set up. Coincidentally, however, we Europeans would get the PC version before the Americans, because the first release of the PC version for Porsche Unleashed came out in March of 2000, and the Americans, like us with the PS1 version of the game, would have to wait 4 months before they would officially get the game. So technically, the PC version in America would not be released until July of the same year, 2000. And then, a few years later, whilst I'm showing you all my options, I should also mention I did save these game options as well. So I've chosen Configuration B. Of course, you will notice there is a difference between the two. Of course, I have edited the configuration to make sure everything is catered to my needs, and the steering range is high, of course, because it's easier when you know these cars are loose. I've chosen the high steering range so I can quite loosely get my car in and out of the corners. And transmission I've chosen, of course, is obviously manual. Choose between automatic and manual. I, of course, am sticking with manual because I prefer to do so. And how I saved all of these settings, you may ask? Well, I saved it in the memory card options, where we can basically save our options and records. We can also reload them, reset options, and also reset our records. So let's now get down to some of the main bits of the game itself. So at the bottom we have the credits. Of course, I'm not going to be showing those until very last. We've also got Factory Driver, which I guess is what you could call a prologue for us before we enter evolution mode so we can test our skills. We've also got the video showcase, and I figured since this is the introduction I might as well show all 4 of these. So we've got the history video, intro video, movie trailer, and the evolution video. I have no idea how long each of these are going to be, but I probably will have to show these off in ascending order or something if I decide to do a segment for those, but I think if I show them all now then it'll probably just take too long, so let's get to the basics. So we have factory driver, we can either load a game or create a new game, and of course, as you might have guessed, I don't have any saved games in here because, well, I deleted the saved game files I had, so I could test the game to make sure everything works, and ultimately the maximum number of characters we are allowed to put in is 5 characters. And of course, I'm basically just going to go with these 4 letters because, well, it makes up a majority of what my name is made from. And we will, of course, get down to the factory driver sections as we go along. Also got quick races. I would assume that is basically just arcade mode for the most parts, I think. Well, it basically is arcade mode to an extent, and I will basically show off probably 2 of these, maybe even all 4 of these if I feel like it, but that's what we've got available in the quick races option. And now let's cap this off with evolution mode. So again, we can either load a game or create a new game. Of course, you do need a saved file in order to show your progress. And of course, we can basically just put in our player name. Again, the maximum number of characters permissible for this, like with factory driver, is only 4 characters at most. And I should also mention we have 3 different eras. Oh yeah, we also get this. However, I will likely not be saving this, but this is basically our introduction video to evolution mode. Basically revealing Porsche's 50+ year history at the time, and that I can say was very brief. So we start off with the classic era, and then once we've got all the trophies we can move on to the golden era, and then thirdly, and also lastly, we move on to the modern era. So at the time, of course, Porsche was 50+ years old at the time of when this game was released, and 2023, which is precisely what the current year is of when I'm recording this, it will officially mark 75 years since Porsche was first launched. And the company itself, of course, was founded by the World War II tank designer Ferdinand Porsche himself, who, apparent as it might be, was also one of the lead engineers for Volkswagen, if I recall correctly. At least I think he was. But anyway, so we've got tournament options, weekend races, circuit racing, and the Porsche Center where we purchase our cars. And if I head over to the homepage, we've got both the garage and the trophy room. Of course, my garage has not got anything at the moment because I've not made any purchases. And we also got the trophy room, basically where we can reveal each of our trophies. We will, of course, be looking through these as we go along, and ultimately you will notice Each of these have their different shades of colour, identifying what eras of evolution they're a part of. Like for example, the 914 trophy is in the classic era, the 928 trophy is in the golden era, and the I guess you could say the Boxster trophy is in the modern era. So you can probably tell because it's kind of tricoloured in a way over which trophy is in which section, and I think it's pretty much the same for all of them as well. So we've got the tournament trophies, Class 3, Class 2 and Class 1 in ascending order downwards, and we also have the racing trophies, and both of these I think are only available, sorry, all 5 of these are only available in the golden era and also the modern era. And one of my personal favourite Porsches I can easily say is the 917, and not just because the car itself is a 24 Hours of Le Mans winner, but also because the car itself was driven by who else but Steve McQueen. And I think Steve McQueen at one point also drove a 911 if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's basically what we get in the trophy room, and I also might as well show off the garage anyway whilst we're here. I should also mention, this game does have a pretty good soundtrack overall. I don't think the menu music is copyrighted, but obviously I turned off the race music in case if there were any licensing issues I might have to tackle. So we have no cars available at the moment. Basically, it says here that we can select car, and it says there are no cars available. So that pretty much does give you an overall insight. Of course, we also have the options, and we've also got the other options I've explained as well. So each of these have their own unique events. As you can see here, these are some of the events we'll be doing, and of course we have the other ones as well, weekend racing and circuit racing, which we will cross over when we get to it. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything you need to know in order to officially and yes. And because we've not done anything yet, we can basically just abort. But yeah, so that's basically evolution mode. And lastly, we will be getting started with Factory Driver, where we will also be given a brief introduction. And we have 3 different sections to do, and I think there's also a total of 12 assignments we have to do, with half of those being in the first category of Factory Driver officially. But yeah, anyways, so I think that's pretty much going to do it for this introduction, as far as I can tell. I've given a brief overview of each of these sections, and all we have to do now is just get started with the game. So let's begin with Factory Driver, and where we will be creating a new game in our first segment. So yeah, see you for the start of Porsche 2000.